All right, Jay Leman, we get to talk about actual football, and there's a lot of interesting things in Illinois' 30-28 win over Toledo. Should we start with the most exciting thing, the most positive thing out of this, Jay?
Let's do it. Now we got a win, number one, and probably Luke Altmyer.
Yes, I was going to go there. Illinois gets the win in large part because its quarterback made a ton of big plays. One big mistake, but let's dive into that. People want to hear about Luke Altmyer. What are your thoughts about him?
First of all, I'm trying to remember a better quarterback debut for a player for Illinois in a big game like this. I mean, I think this was an excellent debut. Number one, really surprised. We had heard rumors that he was athletic, but again, he's probably never taken a hit since he's been in Illinois, just because they've been protecting him. How is he going to be physically? He took some shots and really stuck it up, not just on the edges and scrambles. He ran it up the middle quite a few times on his own read or a keep or a scramble and made stuff happen. His arm was as advertised, accurate, great touch. Not colossal zip, but certainly enough for the college level to be highly effective. I think, though, all that aside, I think what he showed in the second half, leading the team back, but also in that fourth quarter drive, the last drive, and just the way he was able to step into the throw with someone bearing down on him, admitted in the postgame interview he didn't see much, basically threw it to a spot to Casey Washington. I mean, that speaks volumes not only to a fan base, but to your team. You see a guy do that, and you immediately go from I'm a leader because I'm a quarterback to I'm the guy, right? And so in that locker room, there's nobody more respected today than Luke Altmyer for what he did. There's a lot of different pieces that played into that moment, which we're going to break down. But at the end of the day, you have to really give the game ball to Luke Altmyer and also Barry Lunney. I thought Barry Lunney did a phenomenal job getting Illinois back into the game. Only had 24 snaps that first half, so was really unable to get into a rhythm because of penalties and different things. But Barry Lunney giving Luke Altmyer a chance to really excel when he needed it most.
Yeah, Jay, I think we saw in the spring that the tools were there for Luke Altmyer, right? He's got the arm, he's got the touch, he's got the athleticism. But my big question was, how does he look under the lights? How does he look after that first big mistake? And it was a terrible throw. It was a terrible decision, but it was the only bad decision. Like he came back, and the way he responded to that, I thought was really telling. And to, as you said, I don't know if, I mean, there was probably some miracle in that throw, but he gave his guy a chance, and to take that hit, to make that throw, I would imagine, Jay, those guys in the locker room after that game were saying, we might have a dude here.
And I think everybody does think that after what he did, and also a kind of a patchwork offensive line at that point of the game, because Adams had moved over from left tackle to right tackle. Then Adams gets banged up. Then Dengeski moves out to right tackle. So now we're not quite at third string tackle, but we're close, right? And they had one of the best pass rushers on him, hit him with a spin move. And, for Luke to get that ball off, to throw it where it was at on a 4th and 4, gave Casey Washington an absolute chance. So that was the high point. I think Illinois fans, and we followed this program for a very long time, are accustomed to losing close games, to having a quarterback that can't make the throw, to being just close enough, to messing it up down the stretch. And I think it's a sign of maturity for this football team, able to win this game, which is a big win, right? And I'll say one thing about the mistake, and I think everybody knows it. One, you're throwing to Josh McCray, not a great receiver at this point in his life, right? He certainly can get better. He was triple covered. I mean, over, under, everything, certainly a forced ball. It's like he locked in. But to your point, how did he respond after that? He responded in a very great way and led to 2 more touchdowns.
All right, Jay, you mentioned Barry Lunney. I want you to dive into that a little bit more. What did you see out of him? Because obviously that opening script was fantastic. They did turn it over and down deep into Toledo territory, but then they have 3 huge scoring drives in the second half.
Yeah, so I think Barry Lunney had a great script going in. One, you saw who he wanted to get the ball to. I mean, we saw that Tip Ryman got some touches, Pat Bryant got some touches, Isaiah Williams got some touches, and Reggie Love got some touches. That was about what we expected for guys that needed to get touches. But what I loved is the misdirection. some of the creativity. We've been accustomed to seeing what I would call the jet sweep pass, just a little flip forward to Isaiah Williams, and he mixed it up, put it into a counter play where Williams stopped on the die and he countered around. I like the little crossing patterns, but he had time to throw to actually do those routes, right? Got Pat Bryant and Casey Washington. I think we have in those guys 2 guys that can really catch contested catches on the slant route, which we saw over and over. Saw Pat Bryant early in that drive. And then in the second, I thought like they got way out of rhythm. So they had some penalties, I think that second or third drive of the game that set them back, right? Put them in, 3rd and long and unable to really convert. And any coordinator when backed up, and this goes on the inverse for Toledo, as we'll talk about, when they're backed up, you don't have nearly as much rhythm. So they kept having self-inflicted wounds. And again, only 24 plays in that first half, 10 of which were probably on that first drive, So, I mean, it was not a ton going on. What I liked in the second half is they really said, okay, kind of handed the ball to Altmyer. Knew they weren't going to win the game running the football at that point. They had to throw the football, especially when you go down, I believe it was 19-7 at that point. And what I liked is that they went back to their bread and butter, right? Which is just, okay, let's get Pat Bryant, let's get Isaiah Williams in space, let's give time. And then next thing up, Casey Washington had some big contested catches on 3rd down as well. You got to give credit to his hands. He may not be a burner. He may not be the most imposing guy, but the guy had tremendous hands. And for the most part, the protection held up. There were some times there were some breakdowns and Altmyer saved them. And let's just say this, Altmyer, we said Tommy DeVito was good for maybe 3-4 first downs because his ability to run. I think Altmyer was probably 5 or 6 in this game that he extended drives. And so really, really good to see that. Tons to work on, but a lot of positive with Luke Altmyer.